basically explain the reopening plan and how we got to where we're at. So I'm going to start with the original thought administratively and with our reopening plan committee was we really wanted to at any cost to bring the kids back into school. We thought it was very important to bring children back, to get them back into a routine, get them in front of their teachers for however amount of time we could. And with that, try to get back to some type of normal schedule. So that was the underlying philosophy of our reopening plan and reopening committee. With the beginning guidelines, the committee went to the cohort model, based on those guidelines with social distancing and no mask. So for a while, we had the cohort model where students were going to come in Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, and Wednesday would have been a remote day. And we were pretty sold on that day with the students that were coming in. We're going to have a full day. They were going to eat in the lunchroom. They were going to go to specials and so on, and have we called an authentic school day, which we were very excited about. Last week, Monday, Governor Murphy switched. One of the big pieces was the mask. If we split into those cohorts, students didn't have to wear a mask, and we were comfortable with that. And then they would have the stamina to stay all day and have an authentic day. When he switched to the mask mandatory, we rethought our plan and went to our current plan, which is a 5-day, half-day in-house instruction with a mask on, and in the afternoon would be the remote day for people that students that choose to learn remotely from home. And that's where we're at. So, it's a 5 half-day schedule or a reduced day schedules. Basically, it's roughly, and the principals will give the times for each school after we're done, and grab-and-go lunch and breakfast. So if you're here in person, when you leave in the afternoon, you will get your lunch for that day and your breakfast for the next morning, and that would happen 5 days a week. If you're remote, you would pick up your lunch Monday, Wednesday. You would pick up Monday a lunch and a breakfast for both Monday and Tuesday, and on Wednesday you would pick up a lunch and a breakfast for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and those pickups would be at your individual buildings. Right, individual buildings, okay? And that's the basic, plan, how it goes. We are gonna, there's a PowerPoint up on our website that you can get to and look at. We are checking temperatures of students walking into each building. Each building has it a little bit different, and the principals will address that if there's any specific questions on that. But that's the basic plan. Now, what we've been emphasizing the whole time, this plan could change tomorrow. If Governor Murphy comes with a different direction, then we would adjust accordingly. Right now, I spoke to the administrative team, our committee, and the Board of Education. Our intent is to open schools right now with the 5-day plan. The only way we see that we would not reopen school and go remotely if that was a direction from the governor to say, you're starting, the month of September is going to be remote, and then they're going to revisit it, and then we will, of course, follow that directive. Okay? So that's the basic of the plan. I'm going to just defer to each principal just to give the start times of their day. So I'll start with preschool. Oh, I forgot to say, preschool is going to be a full day, and Ann will talk to that a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
So preschool is going to be a full day. We are going to be starting at 8:15 and ending at 2:15.
Miss Hazeldyne, speak up.
Sure.
Stand up.
I was going to say.
I can't.
Preschool is going to be 8:15 to 2:15. Anybody that was in program last year, you will have essentially the same schedule that you had last year, with the exception of breakfast being grab and go. That will allow the staff plenty of time to get their temperature checked and the data log for the temperature checks and so forth and so on. I know that people had questions regarding the masks. We know that students that are 3 and 4 years old are going to need assistance. We are asking for your help with that. We are going to be posting social stories, we are going to be posting videos, we're going to ask that you take this time before the summer starts to start having the children wear masks. That being said, we also understand that they're 3 and 4 years old. The Division of Early Childhood, respects developmentally appropriate practice, and we will do everything we can to encourage children to keep the face masks on, understanding that it's not within the developmental needs of all students. As far as nap goes, they will not be required to wear a mask for nap. They will not be required to wear a mask for lunch. If you have any other questions, please shoot them our way.
Yep. Elise, you want to go through your times?
I'm not standing up.
I know.
Okay,
You
so,
talk about it.
hi, Preschool families. Our doors will open each day at 7:45. We ask that you be patient with us as things begin, because we are going to be checking temperatures for each student. Instead of 3 entrances, we will have 6, with 2 adults manning each door in order to keep the flow going. So they will open at 7:45. Students will go directly to their classrooms. They will remain in their classrooms, with the exception of going to gym once a week. Other than that, every other special will be in their rooms. We will start to stagger dismissal beginning at 12:10, and dismissal will run from 12:10 until about 12:20, 12:25, as we get all students out. No eating in the classroom. There will be no snack as well. Students will be mandated to wear their masks all day. And if you have any other questions, let us know. We're going to be opening up shortly. Thank you.
Joe?
Joe LaRocca, principal of Bulger Middle School. Just hello to all of our new 6th graders and any new students. Bulger will run our half-day schedule from 7:45 to 12 o'clock. Students will be given their breakfast and lunch at dismissal time. At 12 o'clock, they'll be entering 3 different doors based on grade level. Students will be required to wear a mask. During the school day, they will be switching classes, moving from class to class. And any other questions, we'll take over when we open up. Thank you.
And Jen?
Hello, Keansburg High School families. We will be running our half-day. 7:35 will be the first bell, which means students need to be there before then, till 12 for the in-person instruction. Our remote instruction will run from 12:30 to 2:30. In order to allow for smooth transitions with schedules, if you have Mr. Vangelis' first period on an A day, you'll have that in person, and you will also have that first period on your remote instruction, so it allows for easy transition. Masks will be worn all day in school during class. It'll be grab and go lunch and breakfast, just like the other schools, and we will be doing health for all 4 grades for the first marking period as well. And then any other questions, obviously, it'll be opened up for that. Thank you.
Good.
They're opening it up for questions.
We had a couple of pre-planned ones. Okay. We had a couple preset, people sent some questions, general questions, that we may be able to address.
The first question is there an option if you initially choose online learning to send your child back to in-school instruction at some point?
Yes, that is going to be done by marking, quarterly marking period for the middle school and the high school, and the trimester for the elementary school.
With remote instruction, will a live teacher interact with students?
Yes, and that model, Jen just spoke to that model. They will have set times to meet in with their teachers.
Will every student have access to a device if needed?
Yes, we are working on that. We are going to ask, this is part of the letter, we are going to ask if you do have a device and you don't need one, the Chromebooks are very difficult to get. We have it covered, but that would allow us, if we had some families that had their own, that would free up in case some break or some have to be sent out to be fixed. But every student will have access to a device.
What is the plan or protocol should a student or family member of a student test positive for COVID?
Okay, we will follow the CDC guidelines, which is contacting the health department, and then from there, that student would be quarantined for anywhere from 10 to 14 days, and possibly that cohort or some of those students that were within that 6 feet, 15-minute interaction would be handled by the health department. And of course, our nurse would be involved.
The follow-up question is, who is responsible for tracking and tracing?
That would be the county, and our nurses, where's Christine, have been trained with the contact tracing, and we would go from there.
What is the process for online-only option? If one chooses this option, what are the times and how will it run?
All right, basically, it's roughly 12:45 to 2:30. There is a check-in for each class period, and then work would be assigned that they would, work in each class during the hour and 45 minutes, and then the next morning, they would complete the work that was required from the lessons from the previous day. And, some of those, that may get more specific. If you want specific about the high school, middle school, or elementary, they could speak to that after.
Will there be updates shared often as to how it is functioning in school prior to the first time that students can opt to return?
Say that again.
Pretty much, will you inform people along the way
Yeah.
how school is
So-
functioning
so
so they can choose whether or not to come back?
I'm Mr. Optimistic, so yeah, I think, my hope is that it's working very well, and then more and more people would opt to send their children back to our environment. So that would be updated, and then, and I also am a realist, if it's not going well, then we would have to revisit and maybe pull, and I hate to say this because I want to stay optimistic, if we see that we need to pull back and perhaps go to the cohort or something a little different, we will do that. So, we're gonna follow what we're getting data-wise and what we're seeing, and we had the plan in place. Our original plan was cohort full day. We could also make that a cohort half day, and remain very flexible. But again, our ultimate goal is, to keep students in district as much as we can for as long as we can. That's reasonable. If it happens not to be reasonable, I'm a parent, we're all parents, so, we're gonna do what we feel is best. But I hope the report out is optimistic and going, where, our students can come back and stay in school.
Will students be permitted to have backpacks going to and from school?
Yes.
This is for preschool because they're eating lunch there. Can parents still opt to send their own lunches to school with their children?
Yes.
Can you repeat the end times for each school building?
Start with Jen, go ahead. High school?
High school, 7:35 to 12 p.m. for the in-person kids and 12:30 to 2:30 for remote.
Then we'll go middle school.
7:45 start, 12 o'clock dismissal for in-person, 12:30 to 2:30 for remote.
Then we go
Okay, for
elementary.
Elementary, the doors will open at 7:45, dismissal will start at 12:10. We are staggering our dismissal, so it will run between 12:10 and 12:20. And remote instruction will run from 1 to 2:30 each day.
And we are 8:15 to 2:15.
Set.
Is there an option for champions before and after school programs?
Yeah, there is, we are in contact with Champions. We are getting information for our, the middle school building and the preschool, so we are in contact with Champions. Right now, there's not anything 100% solid, but we are talking with Champions.
If we were to change back to our previous plan, when would we know that by or decide by?
That would be, good question. That would be something that we would hopefully be ahead of. So I think if it's something that is needed, it's gonna be a pretty quick turnaround. So I would anticipate it would only be a 1 to 2 day turnaround. If we start to see things going in a direction that they shouldn't, then we would pull the trigger and probably do that pretty quick.
Okay. Right now, they're just trying to open it up for chat, so before they do that, if some of you want to maybe answer what you think might be some frequently asked questions for your schools, if you have any that you know of.
Go ahead. I just know I got a few emails today and some phone calls, just with how remote learning will work. We don't have all of the answers yet, but everybody will have to log on every single day for in-person instruction from 1 to 2:30. It does not mean that you have to be on that entire time or that your teacher will be on with you that entire time. So for example, if there are 8 remote students in a classroom, all 8 might have to log on at 1 o'clock for a mini lesson until maybe 1:15 or 1:20. Your teacher might then say to you, okay, you 3 students are gonna stay on with me for 15 minutes, the rest of you will have something else to work on, come back on. So you really need to make sure that your students are accessible and have access and are ready to log on every single day from 1 to 2:30.
For the high school, and this will obviously be very specifically communicated to the families, but if you are a student that is on remote, you will have a set schedule, just like you do in school. Your attendance will count just as if you are coming to school, which means if you're not showing up for your classes, you're going to be at risk for credit withdrawal if you're not logging on when you're supposed to. So there will be face-to-face instruction every single day with your A and B day teachers. And they may not, like, same as the Caruso, you may not be on for a full 30 minutes. It all depends on what the teacher's doing, but you will be responsible to log on for attendance every single day. I also spoke to a few parents this week, and they were worried about students that are in honors classes and AP classes, and if they're still going to have that. And like I said earlier, the schedules for in-person and remote do mirror each other, so it allows for smooth transition for students who are going either from in-person to remote or vice versa. So yes, they still will have the ability to have those classes if they are meant to be in. So those were some questions that I had gotten.
As for the middle school with remote learning, the remote students will get a schedule as if they were in school. They will just be run condensed. So they will be following a schedule as if they were in person. That schedule would be condensed to allow for the 2-hour time frame. And they will meet with their teachers. They will go through their bell schedule, and they will go through their A and B day, with science and social studies being on the A and B day.
Any student who has an IEP, whether they're all remote or doing the 5-day plan, will receive their related services.
And as far as remote goes for preschool, the teaching coaches will be providing instruction for those students during the remote session. We are going to try to work with the other schools to stagger our times off of their times to best accommodate your family.
We're just setting the feed up for live questions to be pushed in. We'll tell you when to refresh your screens to be able to do so.
So we're taking a break? Kathleen?
Yes, turn it to break. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Are we back on?
Just going to close it and open it back up. At this time, people can refresh their screens at home. You'll have the option to post chat questions that can be read live. Why aren't you all wearing masks?
Seriously?
I'm 6 feet apart.
Sit. Still waiting on further questions. Can I still enroll in remote learning at this time? And how are sports going to work?
Okay, so the change of, yes, the answer to can you still enroll, you can, you just have to contact your building principal. right now, sports, athletics are in writing. They want you to send something in writing so we can track it for the remote piece. As far as the athletics, right now, athletics are moving forward into high school. Middle school is still on a hold pattern until probably the middle of September. But right now, the shore conference is running sports, and regardless if you're in person or remote, you can play the sport.
Will there be temperature checks for both students and staff daily?
Yes.
Will there be some sort of kindergarten orientation?
So our plan, to answer your question, not specifically for kindergarten, our plan though, and you'll get it in the letter next week, we are going to do a walkthrough of what an elementary school day will look like once our classrooms are set up. And in that video will be a kindergarten teacher with a kindergarten room, that way you can see what a student will be experiencing daily. You'll be able to see what their room looks like, what the hallways will look like once all of our signs are up, and you will be able to see pictures of your teacher.
Are the half days counting as full days as far as school accountability?
Yes, as far as, obviously it's not a full day, but as far as legal accountability, yes.
Is the Beacon program still available?
Absolutely, yes. And that schedule will be sent out specifically to families as well, whether you're remote or in person.
What happens with band? And are there students who are on remote learning in band? What would happen with them?
Again, that would be the same as athletics. They would still be welcome and encouraged to participate in band. Band is also at the high school level, is going to, is going to move forward. So right now, there is band, and it is, it will be functioning.
Thank you for adjusting the plan. It works great for working parents. Will kids be able to use the bathroom and get water?
I'll let each.
We'll encourage if students need to bring water to school in a water bottle, they can. Our water fountains will be turned off. So the water fountains will not be accessible during the day. What was the first part of that? Sorry.
And using the restroom?
The restroom will be used and monitored with a teacher.
Does that include?
No, same thing with the high school, where our water fountains will be shut down, so students are encouraged to bring water bottles, and they will be able to use the bathroom, and we will set forth how we're gonna work that out, but yes, the bathrooms will of course be open.
And it's the same at the elementary level. Our water fountains are off. Students are encouraged to bring a water bottle every day. One student per classroom will be allowed to use the bathroom at a time, and in the bathroom will be signs for hygiene, social distancing, and they will have to keep their mask on.
In the younger, oh, go ahead.
And you're
Yeah,
saying?
as far as preschool goes, we'll be following the CDC guidelines for toileting, and the same with the water fountains. They'll be turned off in all of the buildings, but if you can please send a water bottle daily, we would appreciate it.
In the younger schools specifically, how will mask wearing be enforced and hand washing as well?
Okay, and you start yours then.
So hand washing has always been a part of our preschool day. So many of you who were in program last year will know that we have always taught the students that they are to wash their hands when they enter the room, they're to wash their hands before and after meals, before and after toileting, when they're engaged in messy play, which obviously would only be with individual materials right now. They are also asking us to ask the children to wash their hands if they touch their face or are in contact with their mask. As far as the mask wearing goes, as I said, we will do everything we can to send out information to you so you can start working on those skills with your children. We have what we call social stories that are teaching stories that teach children about masks and why they're important and how to wear them correctly. And the teachers will be asking the children to do that daily. That being stated, the teachers are not going to be breaking social distancing continuously throughout the day. And that is per Division of Children and Families. And we obviously would, bodily force any child to wear a mask because it's not safe.
Okay, Lisa?
Okay. Very much along the lines with Ms. Hazeldine, each classroom will have hand sanitizer. There will be hand sanitizing stations at each exit and entrance of the building. Each classroom will be taking their class to the bathroom once or twice daily, just for extra hand washing. And again, in each classroom and each bathroom will be hand washing signs as well as in the hallway. But please start working with your children now on wearing masks and washing their hands. They are required to wear masks as per the state of New Jersey, so we will just be encouraging that protocol.
Will there be cohorts with the 5-day plan, and how many children are estimated per classroom?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just broke down, so just to give you an idea for Caruso currently, based on the last survey that parents took, we have 340 students who have opted for remote-only learning, leaving us with approximately 375 students building-wide in person. What that looks like for individual classes varies. We have anywhere from 8 in-person students, with our largest class at this time being 18, and that is in 5th grade.
At this point, Bulger Middle School is at 60% in person, which will drastically reduce our class sizes. Specific numbers per class will be determined as scheduled. But at this point, we're at 60% capacity at Bulger Middle School.
As far as preschool goes, we have 140 students registered. 27 of those students have opted to go remote. Right now, class sizes are looking at about 6 to 12, but keeping in mind that we have assigned those remote students to homerooms, they will not be in person. So in-person instruction in classrooms right now is looking right at this moment at about 6 to 10 students per class.
As for the high school, at this point, we have 1/3 of our student population will be on remote. As far as individual class sizes, they're not exact yet. They will be obviously greatly reduced by that number, but as soon as the schedules are done, again, you'll be notified so that you can go on Genesis and check, but the class sizes are definitely reduced with 1/3 of our population not being remote only.
For remote learning at Caruso, if it's running roughly 90 minutes, is there enough schoolwork assigned for students to complete for it to count for an entire day?
Yes, so the 90 minutes are going to be your in-person instructional minutes. So, for example, like we said before, you might have a half an hour of ELA instruction, you might have a half an hour of math instruction, then you may break up into groups. Don't quote me, each classroom will look a little bit different. All of the students' independent work will be completed the next morning before their next in-person session. So expect to see mini lessons, with a teacher on screen within those 90 minutes, but your child will not be sitting there working alone within those 90 minutes. The next day is when they will be doing all of their written independent work.
Are you going to be performing COVID tests? If yes, what tests will you be using and what lab will be processing?
No. It's up to the individual family.
For Caruso students, for children attending in school, how much homework will be assigned? Is it relatively the same, more or less?
Yeah, students that are for in-person instruction will have, their day is very much like any other half day, with the exception of having lunch in school. So they will get all of their core subjects in school with homework that varies depending on the teacher, but they will not have any remote instruction after they leave dismissal.
What is the plan for special education students?
All special education students that want in-person will also go 5 days a week. And as I said, they will receive their therapies whether they're in-person or remote.
Will there be devices available to each student or only one per family?
We're hoping to have it for each student.
How are you temp checking, thermal surface, when, and what is the temp threshold?
The temp threshold is 100.4, and they're getting, I guess, doing non-contact temperature for it
And upon arrival?
upon arrival.
And as needed throughout the day? if
Yeah,
there's
if needed,
symptoms?
yeah.
Is it possible to stagger dismissal times so middle and high school students have enough time to pick up elementary? You are later, correct?
Elementary school is the latest dismissal, and we are starting our dismissal at 12:10, so they get out at 12. So, like you said before, they're gonna be outside between 12:10 and 12:20, which gives them time to walk. Just please remind your upper students to walk briskly to Caruso for pickup.
And then also, please remind them to not forget their preschool brother or sister at 2:15, because our dismissal is
They
late.
gotta come back.
They have to come back.
Can I go back to the device question for a second?
Yes.
Just so that Caruso families know, kindergarten and first grade students will be getting iPads, they will not be getting laptops.
Preschool as well.
And preschool as well.
At what time would high school sports practices take place?
They will take place at 2:30 because it has to be, or a little bit
Little
later
later.
after the remote instruction is done. So those students who are remote only that are still participating in sports will have enough time to get to their practices after school.
When will the students be receiving their schedules?
We'll do that by school.
Yeah, so
Right.
we should be complete with our schedules by Friday. We're sending out our letters next week. I'll send out a Genesis blast like I usually do. So by the beginning of next week, everyone will be able to see their schedule on Genesis.
And we'll go, Joe.
Same with the middle school. Next week, we'll have schedules and welcome letters out.
And elementary as well, you will be giving your homeroom teacher early next week.
Pre-K will be doing the same.
Okay.
Is there a protocol set in place if there's a positive case in one specific class?
Yes, we were following with like the CDC and contact the health department to contact, tracing would kick into place, and then based on what they find, certain people may have to isolate and so on.
Will there be before and after care? Some people just locked on.
Yeah, before and after care, we are working with champions on that as we speak.
Will there be mask breaks?
Technically, no, I guess in the preschool for lunch and sleep, is it sleep time?
Nap.
That time, they would get a break.
How will they be doing lockdown drills when they can't social distance in a corner?
We had two different directions on this. We have one where it said they're not requiring them, and the other is they are. So I'm expecting some guidance from the state and the DOE. We may be doing lockdowns, we may be doing shelter in place, or even fire drills, but I'm still waiting to get some clarification on that.
What is the plan for chorus and drama? And maybe you just want to talk about all after-school activities.
Yeah.
Well, for drama,
Drama and chorus, that's, drama's more to you.
so for chorus after school, obviously, this is a fluid situation. The Department of Education they are constantly updating their guidelines for specific things such as sports, such as chorus. And right now, we are having band and chorus. We will have the social distancing guidelines in place. And we are still, as I said earlier, the Department of Education is giving us further guidelines on that, which we will be communicating to families as soon as we continue to get them.
So I'm just gonna talk like Kat. I think, the after-school activities, our hope is that we can still run them. We're gonna have to follow the guidelines, like our fall sport, like football has been meeting following the guidelines, the NJSIA and the CDC guidelines. So our hope, if we're in school and we have the ability to run any after-school program, we will run them according to the guidelines that we get. So traditionally, is it gonna be the same old normal thing? Probably not. But our hope is that if we're coming the half day and the people are learning remote and there's the opportunity to do the extracurriculars after school, we are going to do that until we get direction that it can't be done.
Does a parent or guardian have to be present with the child at temperature checks in the morning? With school starting at the same time, how is that possible with multiple children in different schools?
So read that again.
Does a parent have to be with the child when they're getting their temperature checked?
No, coming into school.
Yes.
No.
Well, pre-K.
And
Pre-K.
at-
Well, adult
And
guardian.
at the elementary, parents
If
will
they're
have
not
to-
walkers.
Yes, students who are walkers on their own, and we know some of our third, fourth, and fifth graders do walk.
Speak up, please.
I'm sorry?
We can't.
Speak up.
Okay, so our younger students, not necessarily our third, fourth, and fifth who walk alone, but our kindergarten, first, and second grade students who are dropped off in the morning, we do ask that you wait with your child until their temperature is verified at the door in the morning.
And as far as pre-K goes, we are really asking that an adult drop off and pick up, because if a student is required to leave, that is going to affect their siblings' attendance at the other schools.
Although, at the middle school also, if they are walkers and they are here and they are required to have to go home, they are not allowed to just turn around and go walk home. So a parent would be required to come and pick them up.
At the high school, obviously, our kids are older, it's gonna look a little different. If they are screened and need to be sent home, a parent will be contacted, but the students will be able to walk home. And again, this will be communicated in our welcome pack letter that'll be sent out next week. But the high school students do not have to have a parent pick them up. They will be sent home, but the parent will be contacted.
I'm confused. Murphy, the CDC, and the APA have said that wearing masks does not replace social distancing, and both should be done. Will classrooms have 20-plus students in them with no social distancing?
No, we don't expect to go over to 20 kids.
For high school, how many students are going to be doing in-person? I think you already said 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3 of our population right now is at the in-person.
How will the changing of classes be handled? Will class movement be staggered?
So, we are going to have posted, we have directional ways that students are gonna walk. And we are going to look at whether or not we're gonna stagger up and down. But either way, that the students will have their time to change classes. In the high school, we have to. And there will be directions where students will walk to help with social distancing as much as possible, where students are walking, you know, one in front of the other, as opposed to just a big mishmash in the hallway.
At Bulger, we're gonna have directional signs, just like at the high school. The hallways will be marked off. The way Bulger is set up, we are able to have our 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade in different areas of the building. So the change of classrooms, we could do with the minimal amount of interaction.
We will not be moving as much. The only time that students will be leaving their room is for the once a week for gym. However, we will have taped hallways to show one-way directions, as well as on the staircase. For 4th and 5th graders who usually change classes, they will not be changing classes. The teacher will be coming into their home to delineate math and language arts instruction.
How will drop-off and pickup look for Caruso? Will it be like last year still? Are parents required to wear masks when picking up and dropping off?
Yes, so we usually have 3 entrances. As we said earlier, we now will have 6 entrances, 1 entrance per grade level. Yes, we are encouraging parents to wear masks and to socially distance when they are waiting on the line outside. We again ask for patience. We do have to take temperatures, so you might be waiting just a little bit. The doors open at 7:45, so if you want to get there a little bit earlier, to be one of the first ones, that would be great.
What happens if a student tests positive and the teacher needs to quarantine? Will there be a substitute for online also?
Yes, to answer your question, we may use other staff for the online, you know, whether that's possibly an arts guy or.
But also to clarify, a teacher doesn't automatically have to quarantine just because
Right.
a student in the classroom.
Correct.
We follow the tracing
did.
policy and follow their.
And the
their
tracing
guidelines.
and the health department. No.
For kindergarten and 1st grade remote learning students, will there be homework daily or only virtual instruction from 1 to 2:30? I think you touched on it, but just reiterate.
Can you say it again for remote only?
Pretty much, if they're remote only, are they only working from 1 to
No.
2:30?
No, remote only, your in-person instruction will be from 1 to 2:30. Again, not the whole entire 90 minutes, but on and off. You need to be available, your child needs to be available between 1 and 2:30. Their independent work will be completed the next morning before their next 1 o'clock session.
Are we allowed to send our students to school with their own bottle of hand sanitizer?
Yes.
Yeah.
For pre-K, I would just ask,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for pre-K, I would ask
Maybe
that
not.
you don't. And really only because it is.
Age appropriate,
It's,
I
yeah, age appropriate. The use of hand sanitizer for small children really has to be supervised, and we don't want the children coming in with anything that's toxic inside their backpacks that we don't know about.
What is going to be done to help with IEP students at the high school?
So every student that has an IEP at the high school, their IEP will be followed, whether they're in person or remote. For example, if a student who is on, with paraprofessionals, with accommodations, with modifications, all of those services, related services, will be given to the students as per their IEP.
Will you be sending out an update with the information that was discussed here tonight?
Yes.
Yes, there'll be letters, we have the PowerPoint, that's on the webpage, and, I will, each building's gonna be sending a letter, and we, at central office, we will be sending other information as well.
How are students at the high school going to manage challenging classes such as AP and honors if they choose to do remote learning?
So as I stated earlier, they are going to have their face-to-face instruction with their AP or honors teacher during the remote time. And, obviously, this whole situation is not ideal, but we want to make sure that our students are given every opportunity that's available to them. If you are unsure that AP or honors is the right choice for your student and they have been already placed in that class, with, due to their test grades and whatnot, we can have that discussion and we can make what we think is the best decision for the student. But we really do want to make sure that every high school student has every opportunity available to them, whether they are in person or remote.
Following with that, Mr. LaRocca, how will high honor classes and gifted and talented work in the middle school?
So honors classes are still going to be run the same way they would be if we were in a normal situation. And gifted and talented will be addressed in the individual classrooms.
What is the Beacon schedule if you haven't said already?
So the times for the Beacon schedule are most likely going to be the 7:30 to 12 as it ran, which is the same time as our building right now. But that has not been completely set. We're still working out that schedule. So when our schedules go out early next week, the Beacon schedules will be going out as well.
Jennifer, on in. How will you enforce high school students wearing their masks all day? What are the implications for students that do not follow the protocol?
If students are not following the protocol, unfortunately, they're putting themselves and the other students at risk, and they will be sent home. The policy and procedures are set forth by the Department of Education and the CDC, and we have to enforce those guidelines, and they will be at the high school.
I don't think earlier people heard about mask breaks, so I'll just say mask breaks, according to the current guidance by the governor, are not permitted. That did come up a couple times again. Will in-person students get Chromebooks also?
Yes, as of now.
If we initially chose remote but now want to send our child and reached out and spoke to the principal, is there anything else we need to do?
No, so I already got 3 parents who have chosen to now send their students to school. Just please send an email just requesting such. Either way, you do have the opportunity to change your mind either way for all buildings up until August 18th.
Are you doing a daily questionnaire like you are doing now for sports workouts? So that, I'll just say, so if the temperature is above 100.4, that's where the questionnaire kicks in.
Yep.
So the questionnaire is given if the temperature is above 100.4.
Yep.
I would like to recognize and thank Ms. McMahon as I reached out to her today with questions and she immediately got back to me.
We always take a compliment, or at least.
That's right.
If we have children at both Bulger and Caruso and they have to be in at 7:45, how are we going to work that?
You want me to answer?
Sure.
Always drop your little one off first. We take a little longer, so we really would appreciate.
We're going to
them
understand
dropping
and make
off first.
concessions for
Yeah, we're gonna-
late arrivals.
Absolutely.
When is the first day of school?
It's gonna be, it's on the board agenda for next week to be moved to September 8th.
Lisa, this
Tuesday,
may be you.
September.
How often are school surfaces being cleaned throughout the day?
So throughout the day, they'll be addressing the high touch point areas like doorknobs, push bars in the doorways, light switches, things like that. There'll be custodial staff throughout the building circulating and taking care of those.
I'm gonna just add to that, me and Ms. Davis did meet with the KEA today, and we are gonna discuss, the KEA had some questions that we're gonna discuss with Lisa as well.
And then in addition to that, within the pre-K guidelines have always been that there are times periodically throughout the day that a 2-step process will be used to clean all surfaces that students are using, tables and such.
With Murphy's recent video showing how AC units highly spread COVID indoors, What will the older buildings be doing during the hot weather, especially with masks on?
Well, part of our discussion with the KEA today, we're gonna talk to Ms. Gonzalez about the filters being changed and cleaning, which we do regular every year, but
We're
that's
on
something we're gonna
schedule.
touch base.
We are
and-
on schedule to
right,
continue with
schedule,
that process.
And we will turnkey that back out, yep.
Can remote learning only option breakdown for each school be posted on the website following this question and answer? Just the general schedules for each school for parents to see. I understand specifics will be on Genesis next week.
In general, yep.
Just can someone jump that
I
down?
know.
Okay.
Will there be band before school at Bulger? If so, what time?
Not at this time.
All right.
Hold on, still going. Ms. McMahon just answered this, but what is the last day that a student can decide to go remote before school starts?
You have the opportunity to change your mind either way for all buildings by the end of the day on August 18th.
Please contact building administration.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Owen, could I just comment on the band? I was in contact this morning with Ms. Grimaldi. We are working on running a band program. At this time, we're not going to have a morning band. We are putting together a band homeroom like we have in the past. Ms. Grimaldi will be reaching out to 6th grade families as far as interest in the band. But right now, the morning band program is not working, is not running, but we are still looking to run a band program.
How many kids will it take to test positive before the school building shuts down for disinfecting?
That, I would follow the Monmouth County, the health department, and follow the guidelines. If we had an outbreak, then we would, like I said before, I always want to stay optimistic. If we got to the point where we would have to go close down for a day or two, or go back to the cohort model, we would. And I just want to add to that, about 3 years ago, Ocean Township High School Ocean Township Schools did close down for 1 or 2 days for the flu.
How will Bulger handle bullying if a student tries to remove a mask off another student's face?
It'll be handled the same way as if we were all day in person. Obviously it's going to be taken very serious, and if it's deemed a hit, we would go through with our hit process.
Upon school starting, if a parent ends up feeling uncomfortable, are they allowed to switch their child to remote learning?
Yes.
You can request to switch to remote at any time. You don't
At
have to
any
wait for a
time,
marking
yeah.
period.
Yep.
Will there be more time given to walk to classes? I've never had enough time in the first place.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, actually, technically, there's not more time. However, we are, all of our teachers are gonna be very lenient, due to traffic flow, and it's gonna take a little bit longer to get to class because we wanna do it in a way that's safe as possible, so you're not gonna have to worry about that.
Are teachers comfortable teaching at the schools during this time? We did a staff survey.
Yeah, we did this, yeah, I believe so.
Will temperatures be checked before students go home?
No.
How will the hallways be monitored at Bulger during classroom changes?
Teachers are in the hallways at classroom changes. They'll be standing at their doors like normally, and that's where they'll be. They'll be in there supervised.
I'm just gonna answer this one because it keeps coming up again about a deadline. We are asking that if you want your child to switch from remote to on-site, that you let us know by August 18th. If you choose to move your child to remote, you can do so at any time. You just have to inform the building, and there may be a 5-day maximum setup time to switch from on-site to remote. That's being asked repeatedly. How will admin of each building handle kids who refuse to mask?
Again, I already said it, at the high school, again, this is gonna be in alignment with the CDC and the Department of Education. And at the high school level, obviously barring students that have breathing difficulties that we have doctor's notes for, the doctor's notes, obviously that's different, but if a student is just refusing to follow the procedures and protocols, they will be sent home immediately.
Same with the middle school.
pretty much the same with us, just please recognize that it is much more challenging for a little person to be wearing that mask for a long time, so please start practicing right now, for starting 20 minutes, then 30, then an hour, and just keep going up until you can get as close to 4 hours as possible.
I think you just answered part of this. For Caruso students specifically, what can parents do now to help with the coming year?
Yeah, so we're gonna be sending something out next week, not our whole video as far as what the school looks like, but just some helpful tips on hand washing and mask wearing. Just ideas on how to make it a little bit more fun in order for kids to be excited. Something that is also, just I see with little kids in the town, having their own fun mask and making it a big deal works. Do what you can to have a mask made for them, or have, a couple of special ones. I've seen a lot of kids in the grocery stores that are very happy and proud to show off their masks. So if you have the capability of doing so, please get them a couple of fun masks so that they are proud of wearing them.
And also, we would ask that if you can pair wearing the mask with something that they really enjoy already, that's another fun way of getting them, used to wearing the mask.
Is the school offering masks to students that do not have them? What type of masks are they, if so?
Yes, we ordered the cloth mask, they're washable, sort of similar to what
This is exactly
Ms.
what-
Gonzalez is wearing. Then we also ordered the adjustable for the little kids, and we also ordered disposable.
Is the high school similar to Caruso with the in-person lesson, 2 hours, and work assignments to be done after? 4.5 hours in person versus 2 hours remote. I'm just trying to figure out the differences in how they're handled.
Yes, so obviously, we still need to reach the 200 minutes of instruction, so all of the remote and the in-person students will have anchor instructional activities, supplemental instructional videos, all kinds of things that they will be responsible. So our remote students, they'll be done at 2:30, and they will have their work that will be done the next day for when they are meeting, just like at Caruso, so that we still are completing the 200 minutes of instruction per class.
Mr. LaRocca, yours the same?
Yes.
So the question to go along with that, the students who are on remote, they're given their work to complete the following morning. Do they have to log on at 7:30 a.m. to complete that work?
No, no.
It just needs to be done
When they
prior to
report
the
to
1
class,
o'clock or
right.
12:30 session.
And don't forget, the high school will be running on an A and B schedule, so, and that the teachers will lay out their work like we always do through Google Classroom and whatnot, so.
Bulger will also run on an AP schedule as well. Math and language arts will be every day, and science and social studies will be on that AP schedule along with their elective.
Do we have to tell schools if we're doing in-school learning or only if we plan to do online? At this time, we're assuming anyone who did not request remote is coming to school.
Yes.
Yes.
If that's not the case, please reach out to the schools. Cleaning the filters does not answer my question. The AC spreads the COVID by blowing the air. Unless we have HEPA filters, we're going to continue to spread the virus. Murphy showed the simulation just yesterday. A clean filter won't stop the air from blowing the virus around. We're following the guidelines of CDC?
Yeah.
Will Bulger have gym class?
Yes.
If a student doesn't feel good and decides to stay home, how will it affect their attendance if they stay at home for more than 16 days?
Or they.
Anything after 3 days requires a doctor's note anyway. If a student doesn't feel well for 1 day, they would be treated the same way as any other illness. They'd be sent to the nurse to be seen.
And obviously, if our students are sick, they should stay home.
Yeah.
Kind of follows with that. My daughter has always had a high normal temperature since she was born. She's always 99 point something. I can't have her sent home every time her temp is a tad high. We have to follow the guidelines of
Yeah,
100.
like the 100.4. But we would retake that, right, like,
Yes.
right?
Extra masks available, we had said yes. Class sizes, we reviewed already. 2 questions. Is the high school doing full days or half days?
We're doing half days in person.
And are we offering masks? We answered already.
Yes, we are.
If most COVID is spread from asymptomatic people right now, why is your only form of screening temperatures?
Well,
We're going to put on the
look at
website.
symptoms, right, we're looking at symptoms.
We're also going to have up on the website the questionnaire that we are asking parents to look at
Yeah.
daily prior to sending their students to school and just become familiar with symptoms to look for at home also. Is it okay for me not to have my nose in my mask? I have asthma and other breathing
I
problems.
think if you have a doctor's note, then, we would plan accordingly based on your doctor's note.
Can you review how remote students grab their lunches?
Yes, the remote students would go to their building
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Monday, Wednesday, 9 to 10.
Can parents donate masks and sanitizer, et cetera, if they're able
Absolutely.
to?
Absolutely.
Where would you like them to?
Bulger, go here, because this, where the central office is here, so it would be here, Bulger.
And thank you.
Yeah. Is it?
Will you be attempting to enforce a dress code for remote students,
No.
specifically Caruso?
But
They have to look
they have to dress
appropriate.
appropriately.
I like that question.
I knew,
I kind of understand what that means too. So we will, I'm hoping this is what you're asking, we will be sending out some guidelines for what remote learning looks like. Your child does need to be clothed while they're on camera. We did have some funny stories during remote in the spring, but we'll be sending that out shortly too.
Okay.
How will Caruso set up grab and go for in-person students?
So in-person students on their way out the door every single day.
Six exits.
At their exit, their entrance and exit is the same place, that will be in the letter next week. They will grab their 2 meals on the way out the door. The 2 meals will consist of the lunch for that day and the breakfast for the next day.
There's more questions just asking if remote instruction for every grade level includes live streaming teachers during their time. Yes, it does.
Every day.
That's every grade level. What if your kids are transported to school and the parent is not present? How would that be handled if they have a temperature?
At the high school, students will be, obviously, we'll do the screening questions, but they will be sent right home and you will be contacted.
Yeah.
So there's a designated quarantine room for that as well, but a parent would have to come and pick up that student.
And it's something that we, that the parent would also possibly check before they put them on the bus. If they show symptoms and signs.
Will this video be available on the district website to review after this meeting?
Okay.
These are unprecedented times. I first want to say thank you to each of you for working so diligently to get the plan in place with the upcoming school year. If a student needs extra help with the lesson, how would that be handled?
Want to do that by
Ju-
school?
Yeah, so with the high school, just like with every other, like during normal times, if a student needs extra help, they need to contact their teacher and make those arrangements. And obviously, there's never been an instance in the high school where a teacher did not give extra time to help students. So it'll work the same way. The student just has to reach out and the teacher will make arrangements based on the availability that they have in their schedule.
At any time, if any student needs anything extra, social, emotional, academic, our counselors, our instructional specialists, and our teachers are always there for them.
The same at the elementary level. Just please be mindful that the teachers do have students every day, so they might not be able to get back to you right away. Their most available time is the 1 to 2:30. Should your child need extra help in any academic area, we also have educational specialists that will be available.
Can I just add one thing? So at the high school, also, just to reiterate, the guidance counselors, the child study team, our school-based youth services, whether a student is remote or in person, they will have all of those services available to them, and that's not just IEP students. So students that are doing their counseling with school-based, they will still have all of those things available to them, and we will make sure that arrangements are made. So we just want everyone to know that as well.
And as far as at the pre-K goes, we have most of you who have been in district already know Ms. Walling, as well as the master teachers and myself are always here, in addition to the teachers to support. We do have a request for support form, so you can always request that from either the building secretaries or from any of the staff that I mentioned earlier.
So if students have a health issue, they have the option of not wearing a mask. This would put my child at risk. Would it not be better to have those students be remote for their health also?
We can't do that. If they have a medical note, you know, there will be precautions taken within the classroom, but, they have the right to come with the medical note.
When is school starting? September 8th.
Yep.
Is there a senior picture day coming up? Yeah, so actually, I have to talk to you guys. We're looking at the beginning of September. Unfortunately, Jostens was very backed up due to everything that's going on. So Ms. Lopez, who is our senior class advisor and our yearbook person, just sent me 3 dates that I need to go over with Mr. Colbert and Ms. O'Hare. And as soon as they give me the okay, I will obviously send that information out to all senior parents on Genesis within the next couple of days.
And some nice thing. You guys are great. We appreciate all your hard work. Thank you for all your hard work. This is an impossible situation.
Thank you. And we thank you for all of
We'll
your
see you.
questions and comments and.
Will gym be held outside if possible, and are masks required during PE?
As much as possible, we will encourage outdoor activities as much as possible. Gym, as long as they're socially distanced, masks are not required, but if they can't, they will. But we will encourage outdoor activities as much as possible, as well as academic classes. I have spoken to our opening committee with a group of teachers and have stressed that to use outdoors as much as possible.
Yeah, so even with the high school, first marking period is gonna be health for all students, so we're not gonna be having any physical, phys ed part, it's gonna be all health. But we also, at the high school, are designating areas, we'll have a Google form sign-up sheet for teachers, where there will be outdoor spaces if teachers would like to take their classes outside during the nice weather. We will be encouraging that, as much as possible.
The same goes for Caruso School. We do have a large gym, so we are able to spread out, so they will be able to take their masks off. We will also be encouraging gym outside, but as well as Ms. Vaccarelli said, we're gonna have a sign-up sheet for teachers to use outdoor spaces for their lessons as well.
And that's the same at the preschool.
How will you notify parents if there is a positive case in the school?
Based on the CDC.
Based on the
CDC
CDC,
guidelines.
it would be, we would follow that, but it'd be through, probably an email.
I think this was answered with the PE question, but how do you handle the students wearing a mask at all times? During a sport, it's hard to breathe during running for PE. I think we just answered that.
Yep.
For Caruso, my daughter has a breathing issue. Does she need a mask?
If your doctor writes her a note that says that she is not able to wear a mask, you would provide us with that note, and she would not have to wear one.
The next isn't a question, so I'm not really gonna read it. The preschool, it's asking if it's full day or half days. The pre-K is the one program that is running full days. The next is asking how the Keansburg School District as a whole feels about this. We want the kids back.
We want the kids back.
We want the kids back, yes, 100%.
A lot of questions are asking to repeat the general remote learning schedule, so we'll get that posted.
Yep.
If a child was in gifted and talented, do they just assume that they are again next year? And is there going to be any kind of notification?
Christine?
Yes, there'll be notification through Genesis. You will receive letters. We have identified students for G&T prior to the close of schools. So we use the data prior to March 13th.
How are school lunches working at the high school? Just want to reiterate that it is a half day. They asked if they have to take their masks off.
Well, so they're gonna be getting their lunch and their breakfast upon exit. They're gonna be entering and exiting at 3 different places, and they will get their lunch and their breakfast for the next morning as they exit, so no one is eating in school.
Thank you again for the meeting, for all your hard work during this stressful time. How many days a week is gym at Bulger?
Depending on your student's schedule, but it's every other with health. By marking period.
How will children on remote learning get their school pictures taken?
That we would have to work out.
We haven't thought of that yet.
Yeah, we haven't had to
We'll get
bring it
there.
out. Yep.
We'll get there.
So, for Caruso, each grade is a different door. If you have children in multiple grades and they can't go through the same door, how will you handle that?
Okay, so in the past, we have allowed the older student to go to the younger student. We are not allowing that at this point, just to avoid extra congestion in the hallways and for one specific teacher to have multiple siblings. So again, in our welcome letter next week, you will see we are encouraging you, if you have older students, that they walk out and you have a designated meeting area, they can meet you on the playground if that's where your younger student does dismiss, or you have the option to go to each dismissal door. But all siblings will not be coming out together as in the past.
If the kids are on remote learning, is it okay if they do their work right then after their remote learning and don't wait till the next day?
Sure.
Absolutely. That'd be
Sure.
great.
If a child misses the 90-minute remote session, does that count as an absence? I think we
Yes.
need to reiterate
Yes.
this too.
Yes.
They need to be online visually every day.
Yes. Attendance will be taken in all remote lessons in every
Absolutely.
school. Thank you so much for all your help. If the high school has 2/3 of their students in person, how can you still socially distance in class? If you had 25 kids normally, that still could be 17 students.
So our schedule is based on, the high school schedule is always based on the needs of students, and we are obviously doing our best to keep class sizes down as much as possible, and I believe that we really are. And we usually, 25 students in a class is not usually the norm anyway, that there usually are less students for the most part.
Since having windows open helps decrease the spread of COVID, will the windows be able to be open to allow fresh air into classrooms?
Absolutely.
My son has asthma, I'm sending him with a mask. If he has a hard time breathing, is he able to take a 5-minute break? Doctors know.
I think that would be a doctor. Yep.
And the nurse will always be available
Yep.
to those students.
How are clubs going to work for the high school?
So at this point, again, like Mr. Covert said, all after-school activities, it's a fluid situation, so we are getting guidance from the Department of Ed and the CDC, and once all of those things are in place, we will proceed. But as of right now, our student council, our sports are going, but again, it is fluid, and we will be communicating constantly to parents about any changes in all of those things.
Can you please state how the Keansburg School District feels in regards to other state schools closing?
State school. Yeah, I'll state that, yeah. So again, I think it goes back to our overall philosophy as an administrative team, a community, and the Board of Education. We believe that the best place for our students is in person. And as long as we can meet and follow that, whether it's the 5 half-days or maybe the cohort days, whatever it is, anytime we can have students involved with their teachers is a benefit for both the teachers and the students' education.
Just comment on this. I'm not ignoring questions, but if the same questions are repeated, I'm not reading them multiple times. And also, we're not going to speak to cases in Indiana or other states. We can just say that our plan is based on our current guidelines in New Jersey, and that's what we're going to continue to do. Are the high school students switching classes? If so, are you going to sanitize the desks prior to the new students entering?
Well, the sanitizing piece, again, we are working in accordance with the guidelines. I know teachers' classrooms will be equipped with, and Lisa could speak much more specifically to that. But yes, in the high school, we have to switch classes. And like I stated earlier, we will have designated spot, like we will have arrows and flow of traffic to avoid students being too close face to face. We will also have our teachers, administrative team, security, all in the hallways to monitor and help move students along in the safest way possible. And as far as the desks
We
piece.
also have the teachers, each classroom will be equipped with their own individual sanitizer that they can use when the children are not in the classroom, as they see fit. There's also going to be disinfectant available in each classroom at a central location, so the students can use it as needed, as well as the staff.
There is a lot of questions coming about protocol for positive cases and things such as that. With all of them, we do have to follow the specific guidelines that are given to us by the state, and you can find them all right on our website. In our plan, it tells you specifically too. It is the website does have the PowerPoint that has more information that answers almost everything that's being asked about the protocols. Are you guys providing internet to kids who are remote learning if they're having problems with their own internet?
Yes. And again, that would be, contact the building principal in writing, and we can help you out.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for thanking us. Will students still need to type in a PIN to get their lunch on the way out of school?
It's gonna be, I believe they're
No.
just gonna check.
Right, so
So
the
it's
student, the homeroom teacher will have a checklist, at least at the elementary level. They will have a checklist of students that are present, and they are simply just checking if a student took
So, yeah, it's no
their
PIN.
meals.
Yeah, and Jill, with the high school, it's because it's based on the number of students, it's gonna be a click, so there's not gonna be any pin.
Same with Bulger.
Thank you for the time, looking forward to a safe school year. How will I participate in student council and National Honor Society if I'm doing remote learning?
As I said earlier, if there are, whatever meetings there are and how things are gonna run, again, more specifics will be, put out to all of my Keansburg High School families. But like I said earlier, all of our students, whether they're in person or remote, will have the opportunity for any things that we have available, every opportunity. So we will make sure it all works out, and it may be based on individual clubs and the person that's running it, but all opportunities that we have, we want made available to our remote and our in-person students as well.
Ms. Smith, what if a child has an IEP and they're choosing to be remote?
Students will still get their related services such as speech, OT, PT, counseling, if it's in their IEP. Specific schedules we're going to work out with each building, and they still will get the accommodations and modifications that are in their IEP.
And if we could just review about devices being given to students, do we have like an idea of how and when that will happen?
So, yeah, it's gonna the end of August, beginning of September. We will set up, it's very similar to what we did last year about, coming in and picking up and so on.
If a 4-year-old doesn't wear a mask in preschool, will they be sent home?
No. As far as the Division of Early Childhood guidelines go and the Division of Children and Families, no.
That's it for our questions.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody if you're still listening. The principals will be sending out information. And again, if you have specific questions on specific schools, please contact the building administration. And I want to thank everybody that participated. I want to thank the team. And that was great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.